We're going to take a look at some commentary tonight. I haven't done this in a while, but a bunch of comments that are of substance have built up, so we'll take a look at them on video. Ironically enough, the first one is not of substance. I like it, Lasco Lakewood. Air Queen? Huh? I love the design on these Holmes fans, but this, in my opinion, one of coolest. Okay. Okay. I think that comment is missing some words that were supposed to be in there. Okay, I don't think I looked at any of the comments from this video, so we'll just go and look at it on the page itself because it seems to work a little better that way.
Your company's IT security architecture.
Okay. Interesting. What if it's the grill's swirl effect that makes it spinnier and make it more concentrated? Yeah, you know what? He's absolutely correct. It has so-called Vornados guard at a fraction of the price. You know, I used to like Vornado a lot. I think their fans from the 90s were really well made. I think they were always somewhat of a gimmick. I think the design is always somewhat of a gimmick. But they used to be very good quality. In more recent years, they've really cheapened out on the motors, which is a problem. But the ones from like the 2000s and 90s and earlier, really good quality. I always thought they was a bit overpriced though, because I mean, is the design really that much better than a regular fan? I don't think so. I think the quality used to be better, but the design, I don't know. So, kind of ironic though, that the one being Fian uses pretty much the same concept at a fraction of the price. Also interesting to see how we have so many fans that cost more than this one, and yet the guards almost always restrict airflow. And then you have this one, which is so cheap, they probably put very little R&D into the thing, and yet they can make the guard not only not hinder performance, but improve performance. Why can't we do that on larger, more expensive fans if we can do it on a $1 piece of junk? Okay. I really have to wonder about this account. I mean, this one, I wouldn't say it's a spammer, but they don't watch the video. I could tell because the comment come in sometimes within minutes of the video's release. And if it's like an hour-long video, you didn't watch the whole video in 2 minutes. And they just like everything in sight. I don't understand. Like, if I go and do something, okay, if I put my time into doing something, it's usually because there's some kind of an outcome from it. Or there's some kind of a reward, if you will. What benefit could possibly come from typing "I like it" onto every video a given channel outputs? I just don't get it. Well, I'd rather not have a fire in the house, so no. And I think that thing absolutely could catch on fire. I would not put it past it. the button is touch sensitive? Well, what? I mean, obviously, you can't use a button without touching it. Because I don't think you need to add much pressure when you press on a touch sensitive button. You just have to tap it lightly. What? No, it's a regular button. When I first got the thing, it would press and click down like a computer mouse. It's definitely a regular button. It may not be worth the effort, but I would like to see the circuit board and see if there is any failure points, bad soldering, etc. Possibly try to fix it. Yeah, I am partially intrigued myself as to what's going wrong. My guess would be probably the USB cord is just such a bad quality that it's not making a good connection anymore. That's what it seemed like to me. I'm totally not going to fix the thing because it's not worth the time of day. But maybe I'll break it open and see what's inside there. Never assume. We've been through that before. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to open it up to see what kind of motor it has in there. Yeah, I think if the thing lasts even 24 hours, I think you've already gotten your money out of it. I don't think I'm going to run it anymore because it's very loud and I'm sick of listening to it, and I don't trust it to run unattended. I really don't. What is this? It looks like the comment is still loading. Don't click on the link, it's gonna hack your channel. Oh no! Watch this, I'm gonna open the link. Oh. Okay, fine, leave. Oh gosh. Okay, well now we know what that is. I'm gonna have to, I may have to cut that out of the video. I may have to cut that out of the video because the video's gonna get flagged or something, because this is the first grade on here. I don't really feel like getting this video. Lol, but my fan lasts longer? How do you know? This one didn't even break yet. This is just spam. That's what that is. Goof. Dumb goof. Yeah, it sure is China garbage. Yeah, I think we'll do that. We'll take it apart. I'm not gonna take it apart carefully, that's for sure. But we'll take it apart and see what it looked like on the inside. Yeah, I'm a bit surprised too. Um, why isn't the reply showing up? Come on, bruh. This thing stinks. And you have to sort it by newest first because that's the only way that they show you all the comments. I like this channel. I've been watching this channel a lot lately. He reminds me, or if you're watching, you remind me very much of me when I was your age. You are so lucky to have a shop that size. I could only dream of having one that size years ago. Even once I relocate, I don't know if I'm going to have something that big. That is a really nice shop area you've got. I don't know. I don't think it's too weak to do that. I think it could very easily do that. Who's Troy? What? That doesn't make any sense. They should do what? I know of Tori, I don't know of Troy. I don't understand what that doesn't none of that makes any sense. Hat must be a pretty durable fan for what it cost you. That's the description box. Looks like they have done this multiple times. Oh, I see what happened. They must have copied that comment and posted it up here. Because that's what the other person said, minus the first couple of letters. Why don't they copy the whole... Well, they shouldn't copy anything. But if they're going to copy something, why don't they at least copy the whole sentence? I guess we could do that. I have no use for this stupid thing. Seems like that's a pretty popular opinion. This is the original comment. Yeah, I can see that. And it looks like he copy and pasted. Oh, see, now it makes sense. So they were saying that they should do that to their computer and the internet modem, which I agree with. That should be done to his computer internet modem because he doesn't know how to use it correctly. Well, I guess I could do that and then find out when the motor's probably not going to break, so then I could get the motor out of it and we can see what kind of motor it has. I'm just not willing to risk it. I'm very intrigued as to how many hours it would really run for, but I'm not going to, it's not worth the risk. You know, I don't trust that stuff. I don't trust it at all. Okay. Oh, this is something I wanted to mention. So there was some confusion about the age of these Fians. Somebody had suggested it was from 1963. They were making an assumption based off of the date code, or that number on the bottom. I guess it's a date code. And this is exactly why we shouldn't be assuming that the numbers on there are dates, because these do not date back into the 60s. They date back to the 70s at very earliest. And the tilt adjustment knob is an interesting observation, but the main giveaway to me that this was an earlier model was that the blade secures on with the nut rather than being a press fit. The more recent versions, 80s, 90s, 2000s, the ones made today probably are press fit as well. The press fit ones is a cost saving measure. Those are more recent. I'm pretty sure they were only screwed on for a couple years before they transitioned to the press fit. It's weird that these 9-inch ones had so many corners cut, when the 12-inch ones and the 16-inch ones really had 0 corners cut. And even these, despite the corners being cut, were still great fans. I see these around in the wild still, decades later. So they're really good fans. Much, much better than the Lakewood models, 1200DX, A, whatever, garbage. Okay. I don't know what your email is. I have no idea. I'm not a detective. I'm not going to sit here and hunt down your email address. This is kind of what bothers me about doing this, though. You get people like this. I have no idea who they are. I'm probably never going to watch a video on this page again. And they want me to spend a half an hour tearing the thing apart, taking pictures, putting things back together, sending in photographs, just for no reason. You know, and I like to help people, but at some point it's like, at what point is it just too much hassle? You know, I'm not sure I really want to do this. Now, if I was already going to take the unit apart for service, sure, I'll take some photographs, no problem. But to just tear the whole thing apart just to take a photograph, I mean, there's got to be somewhere else out there that has that information somewhere. Destroy those Doro garbage batteries immediately. I already did, in fact. I have to put the video together. It was made over a couple of days and it's going to take a lot of editing. I did already do that. The video will be out soon. Oh no, some cameras. 950 beans. What camera that takes AA batteries costs 950 beans? Not good. A number of videos back, I received a comment warning me of the presence of a couple of Duracell batteries over here. And when I was resetting the times on the clock, it reminded me that I never took care of this issue. Setup too. This is really
So
the first
one is dwelling over here on this shelf.
I have no idea where this thing came from. I don't want that. Come on. Okay. I in fact was a very long holdout for Windows 7 even. I started to use computers. When did Windows 7 come out? In 2009, I believe? Let me see. Yep, 2009, October 22nd, 2009. And, whoops. Okay. At the time, oh jeez, here goes the key, the microphone. At the time, I was in high school, and Windows 7 came out, and I was pretty reluctant to change over. At the time, I had a Pentium 4 unit. It was an Optiplex 745, and it had a Pentium 4D, which is a physical dual-core Pentium processor at 3.4 gigahertz, which at the time was actually really good. I believe that was the highest configuration that the Pentium 4 came in, that 3.4 gigahertz. I think that was the highest clock speed, at least that I ever saw anyways. And it was a pretty powerful machine. Now, of course, it's still, you get a Core 2 and it could run circles around it at half the clock speed, just because the Pentium 4 was extremely inefficient. But that's what there was at the time. And so I had that unit, and I ran Windows XP on there, and I want to say that had 4 gigabytes of memory, which, again, at the time was really good. And, so I had that on there, and I also had a laptop. It was a Dell D630, and I had Windows XP on there, and this was also the time frame in which I was using the Inspiron 9100, and I held out on Windows XP for years as my primary operating system. I used Windows XP as my primary operating system, I would say, up until like 2016, 2017, somewhere in there, when the internet stuff started to get flaky. And then really it was when the email flaked out that I really started to switch things over to 7. But I held on to Windows XP for a very long time, because as great as Windows 7 is, if you run the Aero theme, it's very graphics intensive. And you can run the classic shell like I have on this unit, because I do the recording on here, and I don't want to, the graphics chip it's not a dedicated chip, so we're not working with much. And so I'd run the classic theme on this, but the classic theme is pretty bland, whereas the Windows XP skin is in my opinion, the Windows XP skin was the best skin we'll ever see, because it was so tangible. It's not widely talked about like Windows 7 was, but the design of the skin on Windows XP was very intentional. The concept was that it looked like plastic. And the reason they did that was because they thought if people saw something on the screen that looked like something they were familiar with, like a piece of plastic, they thought that people would be able to relate to it better and kind of connect with what they're seeing on the screen better than if it was just a foreign computer graphic. And so the Windows XP theme, it really does look like plastic if you really look at it. It had beautiful color scheme to it. It was so pleasant to the eye. It was so warm and so inviting. The buttons had three-dimensional depth. You clicked your mouse button and the button on the screen pushed in as if it was a physical button. It doesn't get better than that. And it could run on 8 megabytes of video memory, and it would run fine. You put the Windows XP on a 128 megabyte graphic chip, which was the minimum for Windows 7, and it ran like a dream. You could open 15 windows and it wouldn't have a problem. Windows 7, on the other hand, you open 2 windows and memory's full. So for me, running my older hardware at the time, the Optiplex 745 that I had was built for Windows XP, and it was Windows Vista capable. So that, or maybe it was Windows 7, I don't know which one it was, the specifications were the same. It was Windows 7 capable, or Windows Vista capable, so it had the 128 megabyte graphic chip, meaning that you could install Windows 7, it would meet the bare minimum requirements, it would run, but it wouldn't run good. So, and the laptop was the same way. It was written for Windows Vista, so it met the 128 megabytes video requirement, but it was a really low power chip in there. So I ran Windows XP on both of them for a long time, and I did eventually change. I added Windows 7 on the laptop, and I added Windows 7 on the desktop, and I got a graphics card for the desktop. It was Radeon HD 6700, something like that. It was the desktop form factor, so you had to have the half-height graphics chip. I'm not a big fan of AMD stuff, but that was the best, most powerful offering for that size, that form factor. So I got that card and it worked fine. It ran Windows 7. I was always a little flaky on that machine though. I don't know why. Never had an issue with it on the laptop. There was one driver issue, graphics driver issue, but once you had the right version, it worked fine. Anyways, I guess the point I'm making is there was a point in time where I didn't like Windows 7 that much. I thought Windows XP was far superior. And I still think that to some degree. I think Windows XP was better than Windows 7. But Windows 7, for something that's newer and still working on the internet, is by far the best thing we have that accesses the internet properly. Although, it is worth underscoring that there's a browser for Windows XP called MyPal. And that browser, so far, has had no trouble accessing any websites that I've thrown at it, including the YouTube Studio. And I'm just now realizing what I should do, just to really stir things up, is I should do a video like this on Windows XP. As long as I can get the screen recording program to run on here, I think that's what I'm going to do. Because if you have enough power, if obviously if you're trying to access a website on a machine with 256 megabytes of memory, it's not going to work that good. But if you put Windows XP on a Core 2 with 4 gigabytes of memory, browse the web no problem. So I think I'm going to do that. I got to set up a more high power XP machine and do that. Just because I like to get a reaction out of stupid people that say you can't use old versions of Windows anymore. Anyway, so that's that. Huh? I'm confused now. What has that got to do with that video? I wonder if this is jacked up here. I've noticed on a couple occasions now where the video doesn't go. The comment doesn't belong to the video. What? Unless this was user error on his part. I have to make sure the studio's not screwing up here.
Where's my porridge?
Because it has done that before.
Don't make me turn this fine rental car around now.
I don't know what that. An old saying doesn't mean nectar. I don't know what that
And the machines are out of control.
Yeah, I don't know. He must have just typed on the wrong video because ain't no China fan in this video.
Here we are again
This
with
is
the
about a
Dell
computer.
Inspiron 9100.
In fact, I'm pretty sure that this video was even recorded before I even bought that Fian. Okay. A dumb Chinese brand. Oh, that's great. I think that the Fian is Paragon or whatever the one that made Windmere. I think it's the same one. Maybe Shenzhen or whatever that dumb Chinese brand is, maybe is the same company that also made Windmere, but I think it's the same one as Windmere. You know what? Paragon wasn't the brand. Paragon was one of the models. The Paragon series Fian, I think, was a model. Yeah. Okay. So then what was the, jeez. What was that company now that I'm thinking of that made Windmere? I don't think it was quite as Chinese as that. It was something else, I think. Was it Paragon? Maybe Paragon was the brand and a model. I don't know. I'm not good with all these model numbers and things. I mean, it is and it isn't. It is because it was such a great system and it's a shame that they're abandoning it. But on the other hand, their support has always notoriously been so downright worthless. And it will always be downright worthless. That to me, it doesn't make an iota of difference if they support it or not, because their support is worthless. So I'm going to keep using it, it's going to keep working, and it'd be no problems, regardless of their garbage support or not. I don't do shorts. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. If a video is short, then that's it. It's just a video that's short. That's all. I don't need no flipping square videos. Videos should be 4x3 or 16:9 and nothing else. And there should be no stupid verticam videos either. Those are dumb. Well, if we was local, maybe, but I don't want to pay for shipping on these things, because I already paid to ship that thing here. Tell you, I get a lot of machines from the trash because companies do this. It's a total waste of good hardware, but a lot of it does come into my possession and it gets shown on a video. That's where a lot of it comes from. Yeah, Windows 7, I think realistically, I think 2 is the bare minimum that Windows 7 works good on. Unless you have a SATA flash hard drive, and you can kind of get away with 1, but if you're running a spinning drive, you really need at least 2 or 3. If you're going to go on the internet. If you're not going to go on the internet, then fine, but the problem is websites are so poorly written now, they eat up everything. You know, let's take a peep and see what this is eating up here. 20, 40, 100, 220, 320, 370. I mean, that's almost 1.5 gigabytes right there just to run the browser. I mean, that's ridiculous. All these other processors are taking up, well, this is taking up a lot too, but, they're taking up nothing. Outlook takes up 70, even that's ridiculous. The old version of Outlook, like Outlook 03, it didn't take no 69 kilobytes of memory. It took like a couple thousand kilobytes. That's it. This software today is just trash. It's not written right. The bulb on the outside is shatter resistant. No, it's not. Obviously it's not because it broke. Where are the brain cells? Maybe the brain cells are lost at sea. I don't know. No, it's not. It looks the same, okay? It looks the same. But I don't believe that the Carousel 2 was ever offered in that finish, okay? Because the fans that was there, they looked kind of like this one, okay? But I think they was 36 inch. They weren't that big. And there was brass on here. Either the irons was brass. Well, the irons definitely was brass. And then maybe part of the housing was brass. I wish I could remember what the place was called. It might have been called, yeah, this is one of the ones in the area. I mean, it's been so many years since I've been there, I can't really remember what it looked like. It was in there was two. It was two areas that had the fans. There was a restaurant that had them on the outside, and then there was, this is it. This is the restaurant. I think. Maybe not. Maybe not. I get very frustrated trying to find these photographs because at the time it was this was all pre-iPhones, okay? And so it wasn't like there was a photograph of everything. There wasn't. People took their cameras and they took pictures, but there wasn't a photograph. Okay, this is the restaurant here for sure. This is it. There wasn't just photographs everywhere like there is now. It's different times. And it's crazy. The next generation coming up never lived before the iPhones. They don't know what it was like. It was better, really. Okay, so then it was like compounds. Compounds, not compounds. The fans were here. They were all, there's like, you can see how there's seating up here. This is a deck. There was seating under there, and your fans was under there. I don't think that, yeah, it was right in there. Oh my gosh, I can see like it was yesterday. The fans, this isn't what I wanted. Oh, I hope this has the photographs of the fans. I don't want no my email in there. Oh, does it get smaller? I guess it's not a very good... See, the fans, I don't know if they're there at this photograph. Like where all them lights was, I bet they got changed out because they were all in there. That's where the fans was. I bet they got changed out. Because when I was there, I mean, and again, this is a decade plus ago. When I was there, the blades was drooping real bad because they're not outdoor fans. These pictures must be newer. This looks nice and old in here with them old lights. That's kind of cool. There was fans in the bathroom too. There was like Hunter fans. That was kind of, I doubt there'd be photographs of the bathroom. Nowadays it probably would be, but the bathroom, it was, well, you could see it was a tall building, okay? And there was a ceiling. You can see where these lights are at. There was a metal like drop ceiling with no tiles in it, and there are tons of fans mounted on that ceiling. That was pretty cool too. You know, it's a shame. I bet none of those fans are there no more. I've been noticing that within the last couple of years. A lot of the fans I remember, even from the 2000s, are not there anymore. So that's where they were. They was in there. Wonder if I can get a photograph of the gift shop. Because maybe those will still be there. Oh, there's a fan there, but that's not the one. It don't look like it either unless they changed it. It's called the Emporium. Okay. I'm not seeing any good photograph of it. That stinks. Oh, that wasn't it. That's not even the right place. No, it's not. This is it. And this isn't it either. There happens to be a fan there, but it's not the one. And that photograph is too small. I'm not going to be able to see anything on there. Well, that's what it's called. It's called lean compounds. And the fans was in here. The fans was in the bathroom. Different ones. And then the fans was in that restaurant. And so they looked like this. Okay. But the irons was brass. Polished brass. And maybe parts of the motor was polished brass too. I can't believe there's no photograph of inside that store. You know, there probably are, but it's likely posted, you know, kind of inadvertently, you know. Oh, that's nice. That's the Knotty Pine. I like Knotty Pine. That's pretty cool. Where did it go? Who is that? Oh my gosh, I don't want this. Get out of here. I just want to see this photograph. Geez, these are some nice cabins. Yeah, that's really nice. I like the Knotty Pine. It's one of my favorite finishes for walls. Especially when you take it down a couple of shades and put a nice gloss finish on there. That's a nice looking wall. Yeah, who that goof is. Alright, well, we're not getting anything on here, but... So that's what the place is called. The problem is, I'm sure there's photographs, but they was likely taken, you know, on some stupid social media, Twit junk or Facebook, whatever the heck those stupid things are, and post it, and they're not, it's not searchable because they don't upload the titles, you know, ceiling fans and Lake Compounds gift shoppery, you know, whatever. So it's impossible to find those photographs. Seems there's no wax to lubricate. Well, there is. It just takes some time. I don't think I ever bothered to do a servicing video on that thing because it's so dumb, but... I think that's kind of how, most of the home stuff from the 90s and the 2000s was. The quality, the motors seemed to be decent quality. They lasted a long time, but they were noisy. The aerodynamics weren't good. I don't recognize this channel. What is this? Oh, looks like they've got some good material on here. Huh. Interesting. Oh, I think we can, oh, I guess this is, huh. I don't, maybe they just changed the name recently. I don't recognize this, this channel, but it looks like it's got good material on there. I'll have to take a look at that later. Well, they don't need to be cleaned out if you're not a slob. Although I guess in school that was your... Oh yeah. I remember taking those mice out of the ball and out of taking those ball out of the mice and chucking them across the room. Are you kidding me? Everybody did that. It was hilarious. Oh, Pitacan mice started out not liking a lot of service. Oh, they had feelings. I've never used a blue and invisible mouse, so I couldn't tell you. That improved quite a bit. I don't know about that because Microsoft... I mean, nowadays, I guess they do seem to sell... I think they sell hardware now. I don't know who makes it, but it really should have been Microsoft by Dell because Dell makes the hardware. So Microsoft is just a name that they were putting on it. That's very confusing. That's very confusing to me. I've seen that mouse under the Microsoft name as well. But I don't see why it wouldn't just be made by Dell and sold under Microsoft like all these other products are nowadays. I think a lot of Dell stuff might have been made by Logitech because just like with the speakers, they outsourced the speakers to relatively decent brands. They may have outsourced the mice to decent brands as well. All of the mice that Apple makes are deplorable. They really are. The ergonomics are deplorable. People's hands aren't a flippin' oval. The ergonomics of the Magic Mouse are terrible, but I find it clicks easier than the one in the video. My problem with the one in the video is that because of all the travel it has, I find it very awkward to click and then move to something else with any amount of speed. I just find it very slow and clunky to use. Now, ironically enough, the tiny scroll wheel is the only thing I like about that mouse, and I find it works really good with the video editor to be able to go different directions, and it can go pretty fast. The only reason I use the Magic Mouse on my video editing computer is because I need to scroll in different directions when I'm using the video editor. And while the ergonomics are deplorable, I just think it's a little bit better than the other one. The phone's ringing. It's another spam call. Unbelievable. But always answer the phone because it could be an emergency. It could be an important call. You never know. Anyways, so I think it's the worst mouse. I think they're both deplorable. I hate them both. And if there was a Dell mouse that scrolled horizontally, I would throw all those Apple mice and never think about them again. But there isn't. So I deal with them for video editing. You gotta understand, I use that video editing computer exclusively for video editing. I don't do anything else on there. Really don't. When I sit down to edit the videos, I click the import, start the import. I put a Windows laptop in front of that machine to work on it until the video is imported. I don't use that mouse for anything other than video editing. So the amount of time I spend with that mouse, very minimal. So I can kind of tolerate it for that reason. Yeah, I'm certain it wasn't VTech after using it more and hearing the tones and the way the intercom works and everything. I tend to agree that it was also the Thomson. I'm just kind of confused at how the screens are not broken because as far as I knew it, pretty much everything that Thomson made ended up with a bad screen. Binatone, Binading, I don't know what that is. I don't know. That could just be another brand that Thomson sells under. Who knows? I wouldn't be surprised if something was rebranded multiple times at this point. Yeah, I mean that's fair. I guess on a base like this, I can kind of understand it because there is nowhere else to put it. But on other handsets or on other models where the base is cluttered with buttons and then they put the find button behind the handset where it's out of reach, there's just no explanation for that. They could be intercommed. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess so. I still think it should be somewhere else though. You could put the phone on its side for speakerphone. Talk pickup is definitely poor, which is a shame. Yeah, I guess. I guess it's not that bad. I mean, there are some speakerphones that won't even pick up from 2.5 feet away, so it's fair. But I'm definitely disappointed by the talk pickup. The only redeeming factor is that because of the shape of the handset, you can get really close to the microphone, so you wouldn't necessarily have to shout, but it still definitely is kind of a low modulation. And I do believe it does as well. Somebody mentioned it's not, the manual stinks. It's not a conclusive. It doesn't underscore a lot of things. That could be, but I mean that seems like that's so obsolete now that shouldn't even be a consideration. Well, if you can pick up the handset to press the find button, why can't you pick up the handset to press the answer machine button? But I do agree, each unit should have the buttons. I mean, I can't imagine it's that much more expensive to put 5 more buttons on the unit. And you're not programming much else because programming is already there. Just copy the programming from one unit to another. Goof. Okay, well, if there is interest, I suppose I could do that. I've had I've had some people, actually a handful of people, ask for me to go through the different things that I have collections of and show each item. It's very difficult to do right now because a lot of stuff is packed up in the temporary location. Anything that's here is a disorganized disaster. So that may have to be more of kind of a long-term thing. I have some of them here. I could do videos on some of them. But I can't show the whole thing because it's all over the place. This is a perfect example of a case where something simple is just intrinsically better. I think there's a lot of cases like this. I have to agree, I like beige computer stuff. You know, you have the beige 2500 telephone, you got the beige Model M. It's iconic. It's absolutely iconic. And no equipment made today can ever come close to the classic and nostalgic design of the computer stuff from the 90s. You just can't beat it. Great video and different nice. You know, I've never in recent times used the back button on a website. I would say somewhere in a range of 5 to 10 years ago, I kind of concluded that that was like the wrong way, if you will, to browse the web. And what I mean by that is, let's say you was on a website, let's say eBay. We'll go back 5 years when eBay was still worth looking at. You would be looking through a list of stuff that was listed for sale, and then you click on the thing and you look at the page, and then you click the back button, and it doesn't go back correctly. It will take you back like just to the top of the list again. Whereas if you used the link on the page that said back to search results, it would take you back to the previous page, and then it would bring you down to where you were. And I found that a lot of websites function like that. So I kind of got away from the use of the backwards and forwards buttons. Even like if I do a search on Google, for example, and I come up with 2 or 3 results that I want to peep, I'll open up in new tabs and I'll look at them in the tabs, because again, then it's like I'll go to a page and I open it up, and let's say I'm researching a product to buy. I may click a couple different things on that page. You know, maybe I'll click on reviews, maybe I'll click on the instruction, maybe I'll click on another product, and then I gotta go back to the search. I'm clicking back 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And sometimes you get the confirm page submission thing, and then it doesn't go back to, and it just gets all screwed up. And so I have not, for years, ever clicked that back button. And in fact, I think the button is useless. So as far as the buttons being on a mouse, never owned a mouse that has those. I have no use for that. Maybe navigating in Windows Explorer, I could see a use for that. Actually, I could see a use for that. In Windows Explorer, I could see a use for that. But not on a website. Please, sir, you give me a link of RAM. Nope. At first, it was a video about a mice going in one of your computers. Nope. What else you could say? That could be. I know up until a couple of years ago, the Windows Update thing worked, but it was kind of like Windows 7 where something had to update first. At the time, I never really figured out what that was. And then, the Windows updates were brought in through Windows Internet Explorer, and that's getting so old. Version 8 is getting so old at this point that I don't even think it would work anymore. If it uses the activation, if it uses Windows in Explorer 8 to get to the activation server, it may or may not work. So maybe that's why you'd have to use a dial-up modem. I don't know. But as long as the phone call works, that's fine. I'm perfectly fine with that. I wish I had spent more time looking at that. I didn't really prepare for the obsolescence of Windows XP like I did Windows 7, and I wish I had. I wish I had saved a lot of different software downloads and things. Because at the time, it's like you download Chrome, you just throw out the installer when you're done. You never think to save it. I wish I had saved it, because if I set up a new XP machine, I don't have a way to install that program anymore if I didn't save that installer. So I wish I had done more saving of installers and kind of preparation for the obsolescence, if you will, of the system so that I could keep using it. Because now it's harder now because it's getting more difficult to find this stuff. I do recall for a while, I think I had tried to update Internet Explorer manually. I had tried a couple of things to get it to work, and what I ended up concluding was that if you would switch it from manual updates to automatic updates and then reboot and let it try to get it automatically by itself, it would, which is weird, but it wouldn't check manually. It would do it automatically. It would find one update, and it would take that one update, it would apply it, and then after that you could do the manual check. And that worked up until I stopped installing Windows XP regularly. I don't know if that still works. I haven't tried it. At this point, once you get Service Pack 3 on there, MyPal runs and it runs properly. So I don't have much of a need to go past Service Pack 3. It doesn't, the updates after that, they're whatever. Meatloaf, beatloaf, stinking peatloaf. What on earth? What even? What is this? Now we're going to clean the contacts. Oops.
AAPC training courses teach
I
the
don't understand
fundamentals
what
of
was so
medical
funny
code.
about that. I didn't have my speakers on. Maybe something happened that I didn't hear. I like the taller screen because when you're looking at a website, like what we're doing right now, for example, I have the thing all the way up to the top. I don't even have it all the way out to the side because to me it just gets harder to read. I find it easier to read this paragraph. Oh gosh, see, look how difficult this is now. I find it easier to read the paragraph when it's like this. So for me, I'd rather have more of a verticam screen. Now, of course, if you're watching a video, then the screen should be horizontal, but that's a different story. My nose itches and there's hair stuck to my nose. What are your brain cells stuck to, a trash can? What? How the heck does a battery destroy an entire train? I don't know. Yeah, that's true. Some of those models, I remember that the air intake register the vents was so narrow, it would clog in a matter of weeks. And then the boards would just die. I remember seeing those units from that era fail all the time. And I think that's kind of what made me dislike HP, because that's when I started working in the computer industry, was like the really early 2010s. And I'm doing all these repairs, and these stupid things keep coming in. They're all just failed. Junk. Absolute junk. I found a T61 recently. I haven't set it up yet. Yeah, these machines was no joke. These are good quality machines. I really enjoy using these machines, even if it takes a couple extra seconds for a web page to load. I'd much rather wait and use this and know it's eventually going to show up and operate correctly than use a newfangled piece of junk that don't work right. 2012, in my opinion, was the last really good hardware. After that, stuff flakes out quick. What in the world? One of these days, I'm gonna have to. Because there's going to have to be a video where something happens to one of these things. Because this Billy False thing, I just don't understand it. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen a spammer go on for so long. There's been a number of ones here that have gone on for months. There have been a couple of long-running spammers that lasted for months. This Billy False thing has lasted for years. It's spanned over so many different accounts. It is unbelievable. And, oh, here we go. The length of the commentary and the consistency between posts and the originality of the posts. I mean, the family extends it's unbelievable. And I don't understand it, because they're clearly investing a substantial amount of time into writing this comment. I mean, you don't write this in 2 seconds. They're capitalizing the letters. They're checking for spelling errors. They're writing it very carefully. And they're probably spending 5 or 10 minutes on this composition. And they're posting these all the time. And I just can't understand what kind of benefit they could possibly be reaping from doing this to justify spending so much time producing this kind of commentary. It's absolutely baffling to me. Okay. Going to redouble my efforts to delete that sentence from my head. And then on the other hand, you get completely unintelligent remarks like that. I know there was some other comments that they left recently. You know, I think this isn't showing a lot of the comments. It's not showing a lot of the comments. Let me go through here. I can't remember what a couple of these had some good comments on them. I think they're not showing up. Now, sometimes they type nonsense like this. Hi Noah, I just wanted to add, wrong ad, that not only can a motor overheat due to it being run past the time recommended by the duty cycle, a continuous motor can also be damaged by being cycled on and off because it is meant to stay running. Now that's not even true. None of that is true. Here is it's a pretty lengthy composition here. So-called Christopher and so-called Stacy, whose cooking is absolutely disgusting. Maybe we can do the last go 3-3. Unbelievable. Yeah, I would have liked to record the the repair, but the problem is I don't have enough vehicle, and so you got to get it fixed quick because I got to go to work tomorrow. And of course, when you put a camera on, everything takes longer than it should. Everything goes wrong, and I don't have the time for that. So when something breaks on the car, usually it's just to get it fixed so I can keep going. Maybe I'll get a second V one day and maybe I can show the stuff on a video. But for now, that's the problem with doing any automotive video repair, is that I can't afford the downtime. Oh, it was great in the snow. I went to work the other day and there was 12 inches of unplowed snow all over the roads. Yeah, we could do that too. You know, there's not much around here to do. Because the problem is, around here, the only areas that you could go to are typically owned by clubs that you got to be a member of. There's not a lot of open property around here. It's not like other parts of the country where there's just miles and miles of empty space nobody cares about. You don't have that around here. And I don't belong to none of those clubs, so this may be kind of difficult. This I actually want to do. That'll be funny. We'll do that. I don't have any other cars. This person's just dumb sometimes. Just sheer stupid, that's all. Okay, so I'll have to show the interior of it. That may not be done for a while because I need to clean it. It's because I keep putting everything in the back to move it around so that it's filthy, because you know, you put a box in there and then like pieces of cardboard come off of the I don't understand where all the dirt come from, but you put a couple boxes back there that look like they're clean. They was in the house, and then all of a sudden there's just dirt everywhere. So I gotta clean it out. I don't know. I gotta find. I have a couple of things. I have a shell of a Lasco Cyclone Fian, which I got out of the trash. The motor was broke. I think I kept the blade for something. I guess we could use that. I'm trying to think of what else I have that we could get rid of. I know I have that Lasco Cyclone shell. I mean, I find stuff that's busted in the trash all the time. I usually just grab the cord or whatever the pieces are useful and toss it back. If people really want to see it get run over, I guess it could. I don't know. I could see doing that, for yourself, but the video, I don't always have the camera, whatever. I don't know. Let's see if there's anything of interest on here. This person's agitating me. I've heard other issues with them as well. I don't have a problem with those motors. I think they were decent. That doesn't make any sense. I'll see if there's anything of interest on here. I didn't realize there was that much interest in CRT stuff. That's actually kind of funny. I didn't realize there was that much interest in CRT stuff of this era. I knew there was people that collected like real old TV sets from like the 70s and the 60s, the wood grain ones. Inherently, there's interest in this stuff even as recent as the early 2000s. I don't have any other stuff, but I guess if I see them, I'll start picking them up.
Even these
Yeah, the T400 was a good model too. Perfectly usable still. Tabitha's cookie is disgusting. And this is all lies. It's all lies. I don't think he ever goes to church. You don't act like it. And he's racist. It's terrible. Tabitha's a terrible cook. She's disgusting. Oh, here we go. Does this talk about... Yeah, this is what I was looking for. This is the commentary about the brand. Tori's really good at all these brands. Let's see what he said about it. Oh, I didn't say who made it. It's very similar to the daytime fans. Okay, I guess this is not what I was looking for. Nobody's saying what the OEM is. I agree, it kind of looks like a Windmere Fian. Kuo Horang. I think Kuo Horang might have been the brand that made the Windmere stuff. Might have been what I was thinking of. Maybe. Well, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Chinese brands back in the day, when it wasn't quite all about cutting costs as much as you possibly can, would have outsourced to different places. I wouldn't be too surprised by that. Nowadays it would surprise me, but 20, 30 years ago, I could see it happening.
So how are you doing today?
Tabitha's cooking roast scammer for dinner. That was extracting from a video. It's funny, I've noticed in more recent times they must be short on staff or something, because I'll get the same call from the same person like a couple of days in a row, and they always have the same reaction. They're just so predictable.
Hello viewers, here is a look at some of the acquisitions from January.
Yeah, we looked at that comment.
I was doing a lot of lengthy projects this month, so I didn't really get to a lot of the stuff that I found.
I wish
So
the
this will just be
D16
kind of a
or the
preview of what's to come
D610
next month.
used
Some of the things that are
a
to come
SATA
in
drive.
February. So we
It's
got a
ID
bunch of
drive, which
computers here.
stinks. You know, this
There's
is
four
very,
computers
very
in
important
total.
piece
Let's
of
take a look at
information.
the computers first.
Websites, in particular, have become horrifically bloated in more recent time, and this is why we're needing exorbitant
Well, I guess we'll just
amounts
put
of
everything
memory
on the table.
to run these newer garbage operating systems, because the come on, brain, the software is not written efficiently like it used to be. You know, it used to be written within the
So let's
constraints
see what we have
of
here.
limited
We have,
memory capacity. And now,
to start, we have a
because the hardware
very
is getting cheap,
sticky.
they
This
don't write it
works.
correctly,
We have a
and
sticky
it just requires absurd amounts of memory.
ThinkPad
That's what it comes down to.
laptop.
If we could make websites
From the
work
T-series.
effectively on
This is the
128 megabytes of
T61.
memory years and years and
Now, I
years and years
have an
ago,
R61,
I don't understand
which
why
is
we
a
can't
machine
code
I'm
it
very
efficiently
fond
enough
of.
that
I
it
use
does the
it
same
quite
thing
often.
today. I don't understand it. It's just cheap garbage. That's what it comes down to. They outsource the coding to some place somewhere else in the world, and it's cheap and it stinks, and I'm sick of it. I think we covered everything on here. The scene. I don't understand what that has to do with anything. I just can't understand this. I truly cannot understand this. I've never seen or heard of anything like this. And one of the things that's really dangerous about this, about these comments, is that they're very believable to someone that doesn't know the context. Not good. Not good. Billy False is 100% lies and deception. Why did that get a large L? It should have got a small one. Cuz is not a word. Blackham. What you go as and do. What a terrible selection of racist commentary. Vlasic. They say do not want the sod and lights led let's take us prayer and our richter. Okay. This is what drives me nuts about this person. This whole comment to someone that doesn't know the context seems so reasonable on the surface. It's irrelevant to the video, that is true, but otherwise, like, it makes sense. It tells a consistent story with the other comments. It's ridiculous. They need to get a job. This is why people should not sit at home and not work, because they do stuff like this. People are meant to work. Go to work, get a job, do something. This is not it. This is called somebody who has too much time because they're not working. This doesn't even make sense. Battery handheld fan that are not recharge able and hand crank fans. Am I invisible to you or what? I brought a hand cranked fan for 50 p. I wish they were invisible. I wouldn't either, but the video makes back the money, so actually it's profitable to buy that stupid thing. You know, I read this comment, and it's not a bad idea. It really isn't. But I don't want to spend a lot of time focusing on and purchasing and finding garbage. You know, there's a alarmingly rapidly dwindling supply of quality vintage appliances out there. And that's definitely what I'd rather focus the time and money on. Because once that stuff is gone, you can't get it. You're always going to be able to get Chinese garbage. It's never going anywhere. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. But since it did get a lot of interest, I think I will do another one on the Fians. This stupid fool didn't let up the shift key. Let's go pound ampersand pound pound. Unbelievable. Well, I think that's it for tonight. I'm getting tired. Yeah, there's some other stuff in here, but I think we're gonna close out the video for now. So that's good. We had some interesting commentary on this one. A couple of video requests, albeit kind of ridiculous ones, but they came in, and just gonna wrap this one up.